Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Stop and Chat. Today we have Gina Schinkel. I hope I said it correctly. I made a big effort here. Um, Gina has had an amazing role at LinkedIn where she was deeply entrenched in recruitment and talent retention. And now she's the CEO of Thriftwave, a trailblazing workation company serving communities and businesses, teams of all sizes. So basically, Jean is at the forefront of the evolving work landscape. She obviously brings a lot of knowledge on the past, the present, and the future of work, and that's why we're chatting with her today. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you so much for having me, Pedro. It's an absolute honor. Obviously, I've been following remote for a long time, so really excited about this one.
No, it's amazing having you today with us. You know, you were working at LinkedIn when the world was basically forced to change how we work, how we operate, and there is a completely new work paradigm that has happened. What were the biggest learnings about the future of work during this time, especially this intense time there?
I don't think there was ever a more interesting time to enter the HR landscape, right? So basically, as an account director at Talent Solutions, we were helping companies based on their objectives and challenges. And obviously, like the world economy had a big impact on that. And we would actually speak with people throughout the whole company, from talent acquisition, even up to marketing managers, founders, CFOs, so all over the place. Basically, MBA on the payroll, so to say. And then I actually had a lot of fun preparing this, looking back, because you almost want to grab a bag of popcorn looking back at this period, like how much can happen in 3 years. We've gone from the pandemic into work from home, which then for many turned into work from anywhere. So the whole law system was slipping. I even realized with 6 weeks being out of the country, I wasn't insured. I don't know how many people were not insured, right? Those are actual problems. And then we got the Great Resignation. So Gallup actually, yeah, they said in 21, 77% of people were looking for a different job or open for another opportunity. Then even 6 months ago, 8 months ago, LinkedIn stated that this number is still at 70, right? So not too much change there. Then we got the quiet quitting, right? Complete TikTok explosions, Gen Z quitting their job, finish. Then obviously side hustles became a very big thing. I believe at LinkedIn, we always had the next play, so very much leaning into the future. I'm an example of that myself. Then obviously during this economic period, the government tried to save our economy, right? Printing money at scale. Well, that got put to a stop. All of a sudden, mass layoffs, do more with less, um, which then obviously, yeah, had a lot of consequences. Then we got the RTO. There's about 7 different types of hybrid. It's hard to keep up with, right? It's still an adventure. So that's one really big thing that stood out. It's really hard to comprehend when you look back at it. And then obviously the remote work movement is like, it's like when you give a kid a piece of candy, right? They know that is there. They want to have more. So yeah, people are definitely not wanting to go back to the past. They really had time to think about what life meant to them. And people realize we can work from anywhere, right? Which is amazing. And it's more so interesting with all these companies even enforcing return back to the office now, is that still, like, Zoom did the future of work report recently came out, and 36% of people still prefer to work from anywhere, uh, against 22% would choose to work from home, right? So that's already interesting. Um, and and then obviously they're being enforced, but they're still thinking about taking another opportunity. So at the same time, HR is quite nervous, right? Because it can be very costly if people decide to choose your organization. Maybe on average, it takes like 6 months to properly ramp someone, depending on which function they have. And then what if they resign because they get a different opportunity again, right? We're in a war for talent globally. Many countries are graying. Governments are throwing free money around basically to get you to join them. So that's all very interesting. And then at the same time, many of these leaders that have been interviewed, they already expect that their workplace model is going to be changing over the next 2 years. That's about 37%. And then of that 37%, 41 says it's likely going to be very flexible. And so obviously we live in a time where, especially with this explosion of remote, there's so many incredible tools coming onto the market, which are very helpful. So yeah, all of that together, how are you communicating that, right? Even LinkedIn recently launched, I believe it's the Recruited Talent Report, and they did a research, and it's basically that if you force people into the office, 50% is going to be negative. 50%. Then if you put that against, even we're not even talking remote, we're talking flex hybrid, which technically as a COVID baby I kind of enjoy that, because you get the best of both worlds, right? And then the negative impact only is 8%. So that difference by itself is again significant. And then if all of that wasn't enough yet, we got AI. So LinkedIn was already saying that 65% of the skill set was going to be changed by 2030. So yeah, that's asking for a very different approach, I would say.
That's amazing. I love how you see this like chronological order in your head, and you just like have it. It's so clear when you speak about it. But one thing for sure is that the traditional HR had to adapt because, and in a very short period of time, I think, as you were mentioning, like the number of events and the changing work order has been immense. And we now see terms like agile HR or people focusing much more on employee experience. So like different terms starting to pop up and different focuses of the companies. How do you think teams and organizations will manage talent going forward?
Yeah, so interesting one. We basically have landed in the era of human capital. We've seen roles like people operations, company culture coming up. HR got a table at the C-suite, finally. Very well deserved, um, which makes it very interesting. Then also, company culture has become so important and critical, and also with that leadership, right? So you need to make sure that you're mission driven. Like, why are we doing things? What are we doing? And then how are we doing it, right? And obviously, also, especially with the change in the economy, a lot of companies started focusing on retention. Like, if you imagine, if to replace someone, it can cost up to like what 50-60% of the yearly salary. And then they even stated that it can actually cost the company from between 90 up to 200% of the yearly salary of an employee. Well, if someone, let's say, has a salary of 100,000 euros dollars per year, that's expensive, right? But also it's become very much more important to enable people. Think about the talent life cycle, right? Somebody comes in, are they going to be trained in the right way? Are they going to be given access to the right tools to perform their job in the best way possible, and so on? So continuous learning, especially in the age of AI, is so important. Then also, I think actually, okay, money is not really for free anymore, right? Even in the world of VC, things have changed and people found new ways of operating. And we can see that community and product led are, yeah, taking the market by storm, I would say. And they're incredibly valuable because you can work on a solid foundation, break down the actual silos so the whole company works together like an oiled machine, basically like the extended entrepreneurial brain, right? And then you can spin the wheel again for innovation. So that's very interesting. um, then obviously with AI, which is such a major disruption, I believe that there will be a lot more decentralized decision making because things can move quick, and people are basically better experts in their field of work, right? So important, like how are you gonna navigate that as well as an organization? And then another interesting thing is the gig economy, right? So Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn, early investor in Airbnb, he actually recently said that by well, in this decennium, that 50% of the workforce, particularly United States, will be freelancer. So again, that takes a whole different approach, right?
Now focusing a bit on drift away, like it's something you've created out of LinkedIn, out of all these changes in the working world, the working order. What is a workation?
Basically, a workation, it would be a place different from where you reside, and you take your work there, right? So you can do that as an individual. People even extend their holidays, which is great, less flights, employee happiness. But then it's also a way to come together as a team, to really build up that company culture, have that social touch point, align. Um, yeah, so basically to go somewhere else than where you normally reside and take your job on the go.
Is this people led? Is this company led? It can be seen potentially as a nice to have from some organizations. How are you fitting this into the work culture that you mentioned and the future of work? How do you presenting this to the companies, and how do you believe this is relevant for the future of work and their performance in retention, as you mentioned, in the attracting new talent? But also, as you also share, like it's not we're not in the most prosperous economical times. So how do you balance this with the benefits of a workation?
With the benefits of workation. So, right, yeah, I guess as a remote team, you're naturally remote, right? So it's still interesting to have that touch point. But even for companies that are not necessarily always remote, it can be so beneficial. It's not something that we just invented now. I mean, you probably have offsites, right? How long before going there you start talking about it? And how long after are you talking about it? So it's really also a place where you can build in rituals, right? Like it's something that belongs to your group collectively. Because you go to a different place, neuroscience kicks in, you got the cognitive thinking that's activated. So it's really a place where you can drive positive change management, I would say, and really make sure that you're aligned on the same track together. And then basically with Driftaway, we're trying to position um, in between growth, adventure, and the in-person sparks. And obviously, with the background at LinkedIn and HR, we're combining that with a consultative approach to really help companies navigate the future of work, the disruptive era we have, and the high need for new skills.
Tell us, which places have people done the most exciting workations for you?
Oh. This podcast could take 5 hours and we still wouldn't be finished. Yeah, so Croatia is incredible. Spain, Portugal, Italy, Philippines is very much of a upcoming hotspot. Latin America, also great place. Actually, this Friday I have a meeting with my friend. We can even roll out a whole plan throughout Peru and Ecuador with more coming. So yeah, a world of opportunity, but it really depends what the company is looking for, and then we can basically adjust to that. And at the same time, I'm looking to cooperate with communities. Like, think about the freelancers, right? We need to give them a place
Yeah.
back into society.
Awesome, Gina. It was great having you. I won't extend so we don't get into the 5 hours because these conversations get super exciting. Thank you very much for being with us today, sharing a bit your journey throughout these crazy work environment times, and also a bit what you're doing to really nail the future of work with Driftwave and pushing for workations and the success of things.
Thank you so much.